Good afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcasts. We are your hosts, Marcus Walgrave with the South Dakota Home Team powered by Hague Realtors, Jason Walgrave with Walgrave Real Estate Group at RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and Mike Overson with Luminate Bank. We'll be taking all your guys' questions here today during today's show. Anything and everything real estate. You guys can shoot us a message on Facebook in the comments section, or you guys can give us a call, shoot us a text on our hotline, real estate hotline. That is 612-234-7585. Leave us a message. We'll try to answer any of those comments or questions that you guys might have. And how you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. I mean, not doing as good as your goatee, but doing pretty well.
I love. Go ahead, Ovi.
I was gonna say our hotline is hot. But what's hotter? But what's hotter? Marcus's facial hair.
Ooh.
It's you're like Hansel. You're so hot right now. That's right.
Hansel. So hot right now.
Hansel. So hot right now.
I love the honesty of children, right? I got 3 little ones, and 8, 6, 3. My 3-year-old, she comes crashing in my bathroom. Somebody made her upset, so she had to tell me what was going on. And she sees me, and she's got a confused look on her face, and she's like, "Where's all your whiskers?" I said, "Well, I have some. I still have some." She goes, "But where's the rest of them?" And I pointed into the garbage in the can, and she looks in there, and she looks at me, and she goes, "You look funny." And she laughs, and then she leaves. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. It wasn't too bad of a reaction. And then my 2 oldest, they come in and they're like, "No, that looks horrible." So, gotta love the honesty of children. But it's pretty hot, okay. I guess.
It's expected, kids, anything different, right? Just when you look different, they're going to tell you, "Hey, Dad, you look weird. I don't like it."
Yeah.
I get the lot. It is what it is.
It is what it is. As always, Evan Little, our amazing producer, making sure that we're staying on topic, rocking a stellar real estate show. And then also, if we have insurance questions, he's our man. He's our insurance guru. So Evan can help us out with those tough questions when it comes to insurance. And if you guys are interested in learning more about insurance, always remember you can hop on our website, ushometalk.com, and view our past shows. A couple weeks ago, Evan was able to kind of give us a little bit more in-depth knowledge, deep dive into the insurance world for real estate. So if you want to see that or any of our other past shows, hop on our website, check that out. Again, shoot us a message on our hotline. It's scrolling at the bottom. 612-234-7585. I'll say it real quick so then you can't figure it out, and then we don't have to worry about answering any tough questions. Kidding. Or you can make a comment on Facebook, and we will read those, or at least Evan will make sure that he reads them, and then he'll let us know what they are. So today we are going to have a hot topic with my hot goatee on this hot real estate show. Fourth quarter real estate forecasting. We are in October. Just 3 months left. Let's talk about fourth quarter, guys. What do you think? I know there's a couple talking points that I wanted to make sure that we touch on. And I would say, if I could just go ahead and jump into kind of one of those first talking points that I emailed out to you guys. And traditionally, right? I think this is kind of if you haven't sold properties in the past multiple times, I think some people kind of get mistaken with like what our fall real estate market is, which is more or less Q4. There's only a couple days in Q4 that are considered to be winter. Fall is a really good month of real estate. A lot of activity, a lot of buyer activity, a lot of seller activity. It's kind of that winter months, the Q1, that maybe is a little bit of a slower in terms of activity, generally speaking. So we are in the fall season up here, up north in the Midwest. And just in a normal fall market, it's going to be a good time for real estate. It's a good time to sell, good time to buy. That's historically what we see. And this is like a normal fall. It's a good active market that we're seeing up here.
Yeah, I think this time of year, fourth quarter, I love it. And so historically, we have remained very busy throughout the fall and winter months. Marcus, you talk about, you know,
Oh, what happened?
oh, there I'm back. There
Oh, you're back. You're back.
I'm back. Got a new computer.
You finally
so-
got a new computer?
I finally got a new computer, but apparently it's
Holy-
not working.
Holy crap!
Now you need new internet.
Something. Well, this new one doesn't have it only has Wi-Fi, or I haven't figured out how to direct connect it. So we'll get there. We'll get it figured out.
Oh, sure.
I'm excited for the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be, we're going to end the year really strong. A lot of active buyers and sellers. There's opportunities in the fourth quarter that a lot of times you don't see earlier in the year. Whether it's builders wanting to unload inventory, they want to close out some homes, get them off the books before the end of the year. There's properties that have been sitting on the market a little bit longer than in previous years. And so I think there's great opportunities out there for buyers, sellers. We have a lot of sellers that, they want to get their house on the market, sold and closed before Thanksgiving, or they want to test out the market, before Thanksgiving and see where it's at. So the market's healthy, lots going on. Interest rates are, they're about what they're at. And, low sixes, for the most part. I still think that we're going to get down to those mid fives at some point. Maybe it's not going to happen until the first of the year. Maybe it won't happen until spring market begins, but market's good. A lot of opportunity. There's homes, there's plenty of homes to look at and to tour. And, now's a great time it's less active if you're a buyer. It's less active now than it will be in middle of February or beginning of March. And so keep that in mind. There's an opportunity to not get caught up in those multiple offer situations. Much more likely to happen in the spring. Spring market is one of the reasons, and if interest rates go down like I'm expecting them to. So we're definitely, if you're in the market anytime in the next 12 months, I would encourage you to go out and start looking now.
I would agree. Interest rate wise, that's what I do for a living. At least that's what I claim I do. I'm not good with numbers. That's why I got into mortgages. Anyway, I don't think rates are going to go down anything significantly between now and the end of the year. Ever since the Feds, lowered rates, right? Everyone thinks that the Feds, are directly impact mortgage rates, which they don't, right? They don't at all. But ever since they came out with that announcement that they're going to lower rates in September, interest rates have leveled off. And I showed you the graph. If I show you the graph, interest rates were kind of just ticking down nice and slow, easy, but steadily for the 2 months prior to that. As soon as the Feds came out and made that announcement, boom, they flatlined. And we've been there for the last 5 weeks. So I think we'll get 2 more rate drops from the Fed side of things here between now and the end of the year. I don't think that is going to move mortgage rates. I don't think the Fed's lowering rates here this fall affect mortgage rates until the spring or summer of next year. But I do believe, like Jason believes, we are going to get to those mid fives. I think it's going to be sometime in the spring, might be March, might be April. I think if we have a chance to get to low fives, so basically almost a full % lower than where they're at today, I think we're talking probably July of next year.
Now, if we just kind of removed out that inflation piece, which is I think is the one wild card that's just keeping everybody guessing in terms of. But if we went to like maybe a more of a traditional year, I mean, if I can remember correctly, it seems like the mortgage rates, in generally speaking, they maybe tick up a little bit during the spring market, because everybody knows that buyers they're not going to walk away from their real estate goals because it went up an eighth of a point or a quarter point. So, they see opportunity to maybe, capture that buyer just saying, I'm getting out of where I'm at. I'm buying. I don't care if it's a eighth higher or quarter higher. I'm buying in the spring, period. I'm done what I'm doing. I'm done what I'm doing, and I want to own a home. And then, you kind of get past that July, the dog days of summer, it's August, things start to slow down a little bit. And then it seems like, maybe the rates, in a traditional year, they do improve that eighth of a point or quarter of a point, kind of getting everybody a little bit excited, be like, oh, you know what? Rates do look pretty attractive. Holidays are coming around the corner. Let's maybe jump on a property now and get ready, get advantage of those attractive rates. And then it seems like January, the beginning of February, those are also that time of year where things, do slow down up here in the north, and nationally as well, but maybe a little bit more so because of, of our winter months. And they kind of, again, improve maybe an eighth of a point to kind of incentivize, buyers to get back out there and buy up a property. And so you have those moving pieces but like you said, I mean, we're low sixes. Low sixes right now, super attractive, I think, especially if you were maybe looking a year ago. Low sixes is really good. And I think one thing you kind of put on top of that is, buyers are feeling very confident in terms of the pricing of real estate. What they saw maybe earlier in the year, maybe they were just like, hey, we might be 9 months out, 12 months out. But we just would like to start learning more about what houses look like in terms of pricing. If they saw a home at the beginning of the year worth $500,000, that home that, say, apples to apples hits the market today, well, might be 510. It only went up $10,000. From earlier this year to this year, same exact home. Appreciation just went up a couple percent. That's what we're probably going to see in the Sioux Empire at the end of the year. Appreciation is probably going to be right around 3.5% increase from year over year. Buyers like that. Buyers like to see that, hey, what I saw last year is only 3% more expensive this year, and maybe the rates are more attractive. So that it's definitely, I feel like the buyer is definitely becoming encouraged by the stability of what we're seeing with rates and also home values.
Well, I think it also goes into effect of buyers looking at there to say, okay, so it was 500,000 in the spring, it's 510 now. So home prices haven't pulled back, which means that the asset that I'm buying is likely to continue to go up. Where, a lot of people were talking about, oh, there's going to be some sort of bubble, right? There's going to be, there's got to be some sort of correction coming up. Right. I mean, have we seen that at all ever since rates, got to 7% in October of 2022? So when they first hit there, no, we haven't seen that. We've seen the seasonal ups and downs, which that's normal. And we had somewhat of a pullback where, appreciation was sitting around 10 to 12% for the prior couple years, and then now it's back to like normal, the 3 to 5%. But we have not seen like a huge reduction in home prices and stuff through this entire 7%, 8% interest rate period that a lot of people are thinking were going to happen.
Especially up here, right, guys? I mean, in the Midwest, the Midwest has one of the more attractive real estate markets in terms of value increasing. We're probably maybe a little bit higher than other places. We talked about earlier this year, there are other regions in the states that maybe did see a reduction, maybe something specific like properties in the Sun Belt, properties that are like in the 55 plus specific developments. I've read multiple articles saying that, hey, they did kind of take a hit. Those markets, those values of homes did come down, but in terms of like what we're seeing in the Midwest, a lot of interest from buyers inside the Midwest and on the outside looking as well.
Yeah, I think if you look in Arizona and Florida, a lot of those markets in those more popular like snowbird destinations, look at the population of Arizona in December and January. Are how many of those are not true Arizonians, right? How many of those people living down there in the winter are from South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, maybe coming from New York or something like that and coming over and living in Arizona for half the year. So when you get markets like that, it's probably not the primary residence of a lot of the people down there. It's the secondary home. Well, if any sort of times get tough or anything like that, or if it's too much to manage, you're going to get rid of your secondary home first, and then you're going to keep your primary. So in the popular snowbird states like Florida and Arizona, yes, they've seen more inventory come on the market, so their supply and demand curve is off a little bit, and that will bring home prices down because you got way more supply out there than the demand for it. You get up here in the Midwest, I mean, our supply and demand, it's been the same for how many years now, right? We always have a huge demand out there. We have not had a very big supply at all, and that's just what keeps our home values just, doing that 2, 3, 4, 5% every single year steadily.
Yeah, and if you looked at like a traditional appreciation percentage, that's, I mean, we're going back decades, and that's what you're probably going to see. We did see a pretty good jump in the early 2020s, but that is already leveled off, and it is now back into the normal rate, and that's definitely what you can expect out there. So if you're a buyer who's maybe looking to purchase something in the Midwest, there's a really good chance to, like what you said, Mike, if you're in a position to buy today, and you want to buy today, there's a really good chance that you're going to want to jump on it, because in 9-12 months, that property is likely going to be that 3% more expensive. And so,
and you wait to the spring, like if you're up here in the Midwest, if you wait to the spring, and if we have rates that start with a 5, right? Even if we're 5.99, 5.875, right? Maybe we're not down to that 5.5 yet, but we're at the high 5s. How many more buyers jump into the pool in the spring, right? Just naturally, seasonally, completely independent of interest rates. But now you couple that with an interest rate that starts with a 5 versus a 6. How many more buyers flood the market, and how much more competition does that create for you as a buyer? It's like, okay, that house, if I would have bought that in January, I would have competed against 2 other buyers. Now it's April. Now I'm competing with 7 other buyers, right? So now what do I have to offer to beat out 7 people versus just beating out the 2 people that I would have experienced in January? So that's what I see coming up for people who are going to wait, or if you're in that ballpark. I truly believe that interest rates will be the same as where they're at today, or even less in the spring, and that's going to create more competition for you as a buyer, which typically means you're trying to outbid the next person for the house, and it kind of drives prices up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're going to see rates that are going to be very similar to what we have. But to your point exactly, Mike, I mean, if rates are similar to what we have, just by the default of what you see in spring market, you get these individuals that are just tired of renting, and there just is simply more activity. That in itself is going to create that additional competition for the houses that are out there, because inventory, like I said, is low, and so. But before we finish up here, maybe we should jump into our legal minute.
This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute. The merger doctrine stands for the proposition that the contract for the conveyance of property merges into the deed of conveyance. Therefore, any guarantees made in the contract that are not reflected in the deed are extinguished when the deed is conveyed to the buyer of the property. The merger doctrine traditionally applies only to covenants of title. The parties may by contract abrogate the doctrine and provide that some or all terms of the contract survive the closing and delivery of the deed. Minnesota law provides that the merger doctrine merely creates a presumption of merger that can be overcome. For example, in a 1999 case involving a repurchase option that would be exercisable by the seller in the event that the buyer did not commence certain improvements within 2 years of the conveyance, the buyer claimed that the repurchase option merged into the deed and could not be exercised. The court disagreed, stating that the parties' expressed intent, evidenced by the grant of the option, overcame the presumption of merger. This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute.
Thank you, Jeff O'Brien, for the legal minute there. If you guys have any questions about real estate, feel free to reach out to us, 612-234-7585. That is our real estate hotline. Or you can shoot us a message on Facebook. So hot. Or you can shoot us a message on Facebook in the comment section. One thing I think is interesting about our fall real estate market, especially up here, up north. I mean, it's you have these dog days of summer, August, but then you also have a lot of like big events happening. I mean, you typically have the start of school. And so you have a lot of these events where like people just aren't that interested in house hunting at the end of August, the beginning of September. They got a lot of either sports starting or they got school starting. They just have a lot of things going on. Things kind of calm down for about a 2-3 week period. Once things kind of settle in at the end of September, then everybody kind of has their new schedule routine down. They got it dialed in. And you come up here up north, and we just have just an incredibly beautiful climate. The temperatures are just excellent. It's great to be outside on the sunny days. On the cool days, you get to put a nice light jacket over you. I see you're rocking your sweatshirt. I kind of got something on similar. I love this type of stuff. But also, I when we look at our sellers, a lot of properties, especially in the mature neighborhoods, I mean, you start getting your property starts to really pop. There's a lot of plants that really show off in the fall. They start getting some really cool fall colors, some really vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows. And they see that and so it's like, hey, my property might look better today than it will any time of year. So when they see that, sellers are like that. They obviously want to put their house on the market when they feel their home looks the best. And so, sellers are encouraged to put their house on the market. Jason made the comment about, wanting to get in before the holidays. If you've found a house here and put it under contract here over this weekend, you work with a great mortgage team and mortgage broker like Mike, and you say, Mike, we want to close on this house before Thanksgiving. Can you get it done for us? Is that in the cards? And I would assume, Mike, you're going to say, yeah, no brainer. We'll be able to get that done for you.
I'd tell them today, if you want to get in before Halloween, I can make it happen and get you in before Halloween.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, you see that and buyers are encouraged. They're like, okay, we can trick or treat for the first time for our family, or we can host Thanksgiving for the first time for their family. And those are some big things, big factors. And like I said, the properties just look stunning. I think one other thing that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about, and this is, Jason, you and I see this often, right? We have clients of ours and they say, hey, Marcus, hey, Jason, we want to sell, but, we're really thinking we're going to wait for March or April. And then what do we tell them? We say, okay, well, you know what? Your property looks pretty beautiful right now. Let me get my professional photographer out there and let's go ahead and capture those exterior photos. And says, okay, this is really happening. We're definitely moving forward. We're definitely going to be selling our house. They got the photos done. And then what do you find out? We get a call from a buyer, and a buyer says, hey, we really want to be in this neighborhood. It's like, man, I literally just had a photographer take pictures of a home in this neighborhood. Call up Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and you say, hey, I know you don't want to sell until April. However, I got a buyer who's been dying to get in your subdivision. And it just kind of starts these conversations of moving real estate. Even if the intentions of these sellers aren't until spring, some deals just get put together right now just because they're being proactive and they're working with good agents that are saying, hey, let's make sure that instead of going to the market on April 1st where we might have snow on the ground, let's go ahead and put some pictures out there where you have beautiful fall colors. And I know if it's April and I'm looking for a home, yes, I understand that those photos were taken in the fall, but still, I see it and I'm like, yes, spring's coming. That's going to be what my house looks like this coming fall. I'm more excited about this one here, the one that has the leaves on the trees and the pictures, even though that it could just be simply one had pictures taken in snow and one didn't have pictures in snow, same property. You just get excited about the one that looks nicer.
Yeah, I think that's a great reminder, Marcus. Now is a fantastic time to get those photos taken. And what we also find is that, sellers that have a plan to sell in the spring, sometimes that changes quickly because they find the house that they love, that they want to buy, and so something comes up and they call up and say, we want this house. All right, well, we got to move, and photos, if we've already got them taken, it just makes it that much quicker and the process move that much faster. And so a lot of benefits of getting those photos taken in the fall. Then you're ready to go whenever you're ready. So
that's what we're forecasting for fourth quarter real estate here in the Midwest. We think it's going to be nice and strong. There's going to be a lot of activity. It may even be one of the better quarters that we see throughout the whole year. It might be something similar to what the second quarter looked like, that spring market, especially if rates do kind of sneak into the high fives. I think we're going to see a really strong push from buyers. I think the sellers, they like to show off their homes right now. They look great. Grass is still green, and I think we're going to see a lot of good activity happening up here.
Yep. I think fall is a great time to buy. There's no wrong time to buy real estate. When the right house pops up, right, you got to make a move on it. Okay. But the fall is nice because you can bypass a lot of the extra competition you're going to see in the spring, right? And so you can get in now. You can get in typically at a really good price too, because you won't have that extra competition in the spring. And then you're set and ready to go. When rates come, if they come down a little bit more next year, refinance to a lower rate, grab that rate, and boom, you got the best of both worlds. You got a great price in the house, and you ended up with the lower rate.
Yep.
And you get to host Thanksgiving with a big turkey.
That's right. And you can invite us. I'll come over. Thanksgiving is the one day of the year that I eat pie, and I'll eat like a half of one. I'll eat half a pumpkin pie, right? So
pumpkin pie is so good.
Get into your house, invite me over Thanksgiving. I'll clean up all your pie you got there.
All right, guys, as our show comes to an end, we want to thank you all for taking your time to tune in live and for your support of U.S. Home Talk. As always, you can find today's show or any of our past shows on our website, ushometalk.com, or wherever you guys find your podcasts. This is Marcus Walgrave, Jason Walgrave, and Mike Overson. Have yourself a blessed week.